Yo guys, it's Waylor. A lot of people have been coming to my stream lately and asking me to do a Holy Priest guide. So here I am. I'm deciding to stop my procrastination and finally upload one. I have a few topics I want to talk about. So first, we're gonna go over talents and honor talents and what I think is a good build. And I actually have a few builds I think I can show you guys. Then we're gonna talk about tier sets and the trading post armor, whatever you want to call it. The two crafted items for like I believe belt and legs. And then after that, we're gonna go over the BIS stats for Holy Priest, and then I'm gonna go over healing rotation and playstyle, and basically what's different from Shadowlands to now. Then strengths and weaknesses. So what kind of makes it or breaks it for me in arena. And then I'm gonna go over my macros, and then after that I'm gonna go over what classes you should try to play with and what you should avoid. So let's get started. We're gonna go over talents. So this is the main build that I've been running. As you can see, I call it Big Cass. I saw Mex running a similar build, so I decided to play around with it. The main thing that I noticed he was playing was he was playing Improved Purify, and he wasn't playing Holy Nova. And personally, for most matchups, I would like to run Holy Nova just because if there's like a rogue or a mage or a druid and invis, I would like to hit them out. Um, but basically, as you can see, I take this route. So I go down here. I have fast MD. I have grip. I have short grip. And then I come down here. I have powered life. This talent is extremely good. This is a very high value talent for Holy Priest right now. I use this spell like dozens of times per game. And then on the right side here we go down Shadow Word Death. We take Mind Control. Then we take this. This isn't really important. We don't really need the 75% slow from Holy Fire crits. But we take this just to get to mind games. So me personally, I like to play mind games. I'm a very offensive minded healer. Um and it's just a part of my playstyle, you know. Since Shadowlands I've just enjoyed pressing this button more than anything. It's a very satisfying button to push. And then in the Holy Tree over here, we go down here, we take Sanctify. We don't take Circle of Healing. I've tried Circle of Healing. This spell costs way too much mana for how little it heals. Like if you see here, it costs about the same mana as a Sanctify. Just a little bit less, right? Except Sanctify does more than double the healing. And Sanctify also feeds into Resonant Words. So when we use a Sanctify, our next heal or flash heal is 50% stronger. So that's why we're not taking Circle of Healing. It's just a filler button. You wouldn't really want to press it because you have other buttons you'd be pressing now. We come down this way. We take Guardian Spirit. Then we take Guardian Angel. Then we come down to Afterlife. Originally, I didn't understand why Mex was running this, but then I just thought about it because it increased the duration of your Spirit of Redemption, and we're gonna talk about this more later. But basically, Spirit of the Redeemer is an honor talent where when you press it, you activate an angel form where you can't PC seed. And it actually increases the duration from about 6 seconds to 10 seconds. So that's why we take that. And then Divine Hymn is not really anything cool, but we're just taking it just to get down this way. Then we go to Crisis Management, we take that. Pontifex, and then we get down to Resonant Words, which is really good. But then this is the real good talent here. So Lightweaver is actually very interesting. I remember I was watching Sidu videos. He was doing a healer solo shuffle tier list, and this is where I actually originally found out about this build, or this kind of build rather. Is he was saying how Holy Priest is he considered A tier because they have a build that they can run, which is Lightweaver. So basically, every time you cast a flash heal, it increases your cast time, or sorry, it reduces your cast time of your next heal, and its healing is increased. So basically, my heal goes from 1.8 seconds, or sorry, it goes from 2 seconds down to 1.4 seconds, which is a really big difference. But then, what we're going to talk about after, about the tier set, is that it synergizes really well with the tier set, specifically the 2 set. But yeah, we'll get more into that later on. We take Apotheosis. This is just one of the best cooldowns for priests. You know, no denying it. We're not taking Harmonious Spirits. I didn't know how to feel about this at first, but I've kind of gotten a little bit used to it. The only downside to not having this is I notice myself not being able to farm Chastise back as fast, because I'm usually spamming Holy Fire a lot more than Smite these days. But coming on the right side, you basically take all these talents. These are good. Just increase healing and renew, faster mana regen, Symbol of Hope. Come down here, prayer mending modifiers. Come down here. This is okay. This talent's not as crazy as it would seem. But then we get Miracle Worker. And then obviously if you really wanted to play Res Lego, you could do that, but I don't recommend it. But yeah, you take Miracle Worker. And then, yeah. The only problem I have with the Holy Tree is that you have to basically sacrifice a point in healing to get your stun rather than them be on the same tier. So usually what I'll do is like I'll just sacrifice this 6% increased mastery healing and just put it into stun if I require it, you know? And then for people that don't like mind games, what you could do, you could just take away all these points on the right side and just not take mind games, and then you could do reduce fade, or sorry, damage reduction. Then this, you take swap. You come to Light's Inspiration, it's a bigger Desperate Prayer. And you take Angelic Bulwark. So basically, if you wanted to play a more laid back build and not really do as much offensive stuff, you could run something like this and just take away mind games. Whereas, you know, me, I like to be more hands-on and more offensive, so I take mind games a lot more. And the same with the healing. I'm sure you could play around and maybe somehow get Harmonious, but I don't think it's needed when you're playing Lightweaver, because with Lightweaver, you're basically doing a lot of casted healing, so yeah. And then that's the main build I'm running, so I usually just run this build into pretty much everything. And then I made a build for fighting Rogue Mage in 2s, because if you're like me, even though I play RMP in 3s, I hate fighting Rogue Mage in 2s, especially a good one, more than anything. So I came up with a build that I thought was extremely good into Rogue Mage in 2s specifically. So as you can see, we have like all the normal stuff. You know, you got Shadow Fiend, Shadow Word Death, Mind Control. You have Fast MD. This is really important for fighting Rogue Mage, because like the quicker you get that ice block off, the better, you know. Powered Life, basically the same build as if you just didn't play mind games on the other build is what I have. And then coming on the holy side, you have pretty much the normal stuff. You take away these two. You don't really need these for fighting Rogue Mage 2s. Just because you're not gonna If you're the game should have already ended by then, you know? And then you come down here. You take Harmonious, because this is for good reason, is you're gonna be doing a lot of instant healing. Ideally, you don't want to cast as much, because it just leaves you more open to kicks. And then, as you can notice, we didn't take Lightweaver. I've tried Lightweaver into Rogue Mage 2s, and it feels completely awful, because you're just forced to cast a lot, and you just get kicked and lose the game because of it. So as much instant healing as you can do into Rogue Mage is usually good. And Harmonious helps with resetting your Serenities and stuff. Alright, now we're going to talk about Honor Talents. So these two Honor Talents right here were Spirit of the Redeemer and Ray of Hope. I basically run these baseline into pretty much every comp. So basically, Spirit of the Redeemer, as I said before, you basically go in angel form for 10 seconds and you can cast on your teammates without any worry about getting kicked or anything. No one can CC you. You can heal your teammates for free. And I believe your heals also don't cost mana while you're in that form. Yeah, exactly. While in this form, the priest can cast any healing spell free of cost. So basically, you can't be punished in this form. The only downside is you are stationary, so your teammates can't line you. Also, another thing is you can press this ability if you're silenced. So there's times where if I'm like ready to press the button and I press it, but a priest silences me at the same time, or even if I'm silenced for 2 whole seconds, you know, I can go in this form and I'll still be silenced. So that's one downside of it, is I have to be careful about silences because then I can't use my abilities for a couple seconds. Although I have noticed a few things that is nice with this, like you can use Spirit of the Redeemer to avoid people attacking you actually. So say like a team is trying to go me and like they do a little bit of damage, I can just Spirit of the Redeemer and just heal my teammates, which then actually helps me reset my serenities. So that way I can heal myself when I come out. Yeah, overall, it's just a really good cooldown. Like I said, a lot of your healing is going to be casted with Lightweaver. So it's just a really good cooldown for kind of resetting the game and just being able to keep up with enemy damage. And then secondly, Ray of Hope. I mean, this is just a good cooldown for Holy Priest in general. You know, just increased healing, and it kind of slows the game down when the game is like really fast paced, you know? The one thing I like to do a lot is I like to Ray of Hope my teammates when they're below 35%. So that way, basically, I know for sure that I can just power word life without them randomly going above that health, you know? So if I say my teammate is 35% or lower, I'll Ray of Hope, and then I powered life into it, and it just resets this to 10 seconds rather than 30, you know? And it basically does a lot of healing, guaranteed, when it comes out of the Ray of Hope, you know? And then all I have to do is chuck maybe one Serenity, or just one heal, and then they're basically topped. The last Honor Talent spot I want to talk about, I usually change this one a lot, so like, I'll change it mainly between Cardinal Mending, Holy Ward, Divine Ascension, and then Purification, Double Dispel, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, this one's kind of a free agent. You can change it to any of those. I think those are the 4 best ones you could pick, depending on the matchup. And yeah. All right, next we're going to talk about tier set and trading post armor. So mainly the main thing I want to talk about the tier set is what the tier set does. So the Holy Priest 2 set, casting per mending reduces the cast time of your next heal or prayer of healing by 1 second and increases their holy word cooldown reduction effect by 2 seconds. So the main takeaway from this is that every time you prayer mending, which is about 11 seconds depending on your haste or whatever, you basically just take a whole second off your heal cast. So right now, if I were to just have that and no Lightweaver, my heal would go from a 2-second cast to a 1-second cast. But with Lightweaver, like I showed you before, when you get Lightweaver up, you go from 2 seconds to 1.4 seconds. So then if I prayer mending with that on the 2 set, that would reduce it to about 0.4 seconds, 0.5 seconds, depending. Basically, to give you an idea, that's the same thing as casting a fast MD. That's 0.45 seconds. So, yeah, I don't think I need to tell you why that's really, really good. And then the 4 set, I don't think it's anything crazy. When Holy Word Serenity or Holy Word Sanctify finish their cooldown, you gain 15% crit for 8 seconds. I mean, that's a nice quality of life thing. You just basically are doing more healing based off your crit. You know, you just have burstier heals after you use after your Holy Words come up from cooldown. The 2 set is what's important. So the sooner you get the 2 set, the better. I think for PvPers, it's about 6 weeks into the season when you get it, I believe. Because you have to wait for the creation catalyst. Unless you get lucky in your vault randomly. But yeah, I think once Holy Priest gets that 2 set, it's going to be crazy with this Lightweaver build. I think you're just going to do insane throughput with casting. And it's going to make your casting very easily accessible to the point where you're kind of not afraid of like being you're not afraid of casting and just getting kicked, you know, because your cast speed is just crazy. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is the trading post armor. So basically what I'm understanding is you go to this trading post and you find the gear that you need For cloth and for priest, we're gonna find the CC reduction belt. So basically, this belt right here is what you want, where it increases the CC reduction effect of your trinkets by another 5%. So this trinket bonus here, where you take 10% less crowd control effects, it gets increased to 15% with this belt bonus. And then the other thing that you want, I believe, is this pair of legs right here. So after recovering from a loss of control effect, so when you come out of CC, you become empowered with possibility increasing your haste by 500 for 10 seconds. This may only occur every 30 seconds. So basically, every 30 seconds that you get CC'd and you come out of CC, you just get a 500 haste buff, which is just crazy. So yeah, basically that's what you want to get for those pieces. I currently don't have them yet because I need the materials. I will get them soon though. And then, let's see. The next thing we're going to talk about is BIS Stats. So originally, I was expecting haste verse to just be the norm. You know, I play rogue mage. Usually, haste verse is better for RMP. But with this Lightweaver build and the 2-set combined, I think verse mastery is going to be insanely good compared to haste verse, because you don't really need more haste if you're already casting a 0.45 second cast. You know, that's basically what your flash heal, that's what your heal is going to be like. So I don't think you need haste if you're casting that fast. I haven't tried crit personally, but I still think mastery is probably going to be more overall healing for you. Crit might just be a nice build to try if you feel like it. And then healing rotation and playstyle, what's changed since Shadowlands? And I wrote in parentheses more tools. Basically, what changed since Shadowlands is, in Shadowlands you had a lot of instant healing and a lot of like, how do I say it? You had a lot of cooldowns to like just basically top your teammates. Now your healing is more, it's more based on casting. So basically what I do is, this is just me in arena, like I'll just get some stacks of Lightweaver and then I'll just rotate between heal and flash heal, and this is literally what I'm doing if my Serenities are on cooldown. So basically, if someone's taking damage or a lot of damage, you know, I'll Guardian Serenity, and you know, if they're taking a lot of damage, I'll Ray Serenity as well. And then basically at that point I don't have any big instant heals, right? And you're probably wondering like, wow, how are you supposed to keep people up? Basically what I do is just rotate flash heal and just play with the Lightweaver procs. And then I throw in like a Sanctify there just to get the Resonant Words buff, just to also do more healing on top of that, you know? Since Shadowlands, the big difference that I've noticed is just you're casting a lot more and your big heals don't do as much as they used to. So you're kind of more, you have to do more throughput now than you did in Shadowlands, if that makes any sense. Which, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I think it makes Holy Priest more of a healer, because in Shadowlands, in Shadowlands, it felt like I was playing like a DPS with like a support role, kind of. Like, it didn't feel like I was playing a healer, if that makes sense. And then strengths and weaknesses. So the main strength that you're going to see once you get 2-set is going to be your fast cast. You're just going to have incredible haste with that. But the problem is, at least right now without 2-set, my healing's very limited. And I'm prone to kicks. So if I showed you a clip, you'd see me in arena maybe fighting an Asa rogue, or like a, what else could I fight? A DH maybe? Something that does like a lot of consistent damage, like really high consistent damage. You're going to notice that I'm just struggling to keep my teammates alive. Like, there's matchups where I can't do anything offensively at all. Like, I just have to sit there and be a heal bot because I'm just so far behind on the healing. So that's kind of the weaknesses. My healing is very finite right now, but then once the 2-set kicks in, I think the limited healing is going to be less of a factor. You might still be prone to kicks, but it's going to be a lot harder for people to kick you. And it's going to be easier for you to fake people because they're going to want to kick your fast casts. And then macros. Let me show you my macros. There's a few macros I have that you might want. This is my macro from Shadowlands, which you can still use now. Basically what it does is it cancels the Spirit of Redemption, which is your angel form. So this angel form now, right? Like say I press this angel form and my teammate runs into here and he's out of LOS, right? And he decides he doesn't want to come out. I can basically cancel this with this fade macro and then go heal my teammate. But it puts my angel form on cooldown and I can't use it anymore. But it's a nice way to get out of my angel form if my teammate decides to line me forever. You know, just healer things. And then other macros, I don't really use many other macros. I use my Shadow Word Death macro. I've used this macro since 2012, 2013 maybe. Basically what this macro does, if I can find a training dummy, I'll show you. So what this macro does is, say I have only a target, right? It's going to death this target. If I had only a focus target, and I'm, say, targeting myself, and I press it, it's also going to death the target. Then if I have a focus target, say this guy, and this guy, it's going to death my target. So it'll death this guy, and not that one. So it's a nice death macro. Obviously, you got to be very aware of if you're focusing someone who's in CC or not. Usually what I do is I put this on, like, I'll put my focus on, like, rogues or mages or hunters, stuff that actively pushes to CC me, rather than a healer. Unless I know the healer's not in CC. And then other macros, I'm trying to think. I have a cancel or a mind control macro. I think it's right here. It's also cancel or dispersion if you or shadow and you want that. And then for feather, I just use an @player feather macro, which is just very nice because, you know, you can see my cursor is over here. It just automatically puts the feather at my feet and I don't have to worry about it. And then I also just have a regular feather for my teammates because if my teammates want a feather for the speed boost in arena, you know, I'll just give it to them like that. And there you go. Yeah, I don't really use many macros, to be honest. I have a self holy ward macro right here, and then I have a macro that cancels it. Yeah, right here. I have a macro to cancel my holy ward. So I don't do this too often, but basically, say if I have a holy ward, right? The first instinct that people have when they see holy ward, right, is to CC, just throw a random CC or stun into it, right? To get it off. Say like a mage is trying to sheep it off or something like that. Or a feral, say you're fighting jungle cleave and a feral is trying to in-cap roar it off because it's the easiest CC that they can throw that doesn't, you know, waste a stun that's on a cooldown or like a trap, you know? Basically, that's going to be their first instinct to press something like that. And what I can do is I can cancel it with this macro. It's right here. And I can cancel it in a way that if I know there's incoming CC, it's going to put me on diminishing return. So say if a feral is coming to in-cap roar me, and I know he's doing it, I'm going to ward. And then as soon as I know he's going to press it, I'm going to cancel this. And then it's going to eat the in-cap roar, which is going to put me on trap DR. So that's a nice little play you can do with Holy Ward and canceling it. I mean, I think it's a really advanced play. Like, I think you need a lot of experience, like reading your opponents and predicting what they're gonna do before you can do something like that. But it's just a nice little play you could do. Yeah, not too many macros that I use though. I don't even have a focus chastise. I just use a regular chastise right here, and I just target people with Arena 1, 2, 3. And then the last thing, what comps should I play, or, you know, what classes should I play with, and what should I avoid? I usually play with rogues and mages. I mean, that's just my bread and butter. Me personally, I just have the most fun playing with them. If you like an offensive playstyle, I would suggest the same. If you like more of a defensive, like healer oriented playstyle, I would say play with classes that are self-sufficient, like feral druids, just tanky classes, like warlocks would be good. You don't really want to play with a class like a DK or what else? Something that takes a lot of damage. You don't. The main goal is that you don't want to play with something that you have to spam heal constantly, which is like a DK. The DKs will just take the most damage. Yeah, just play with stuff that's either, play rogue mage or play with like feral druids and similar classes that are very tanky, like warlocks, that you can kind of that they can kind of rely on themselves for a bit if you're not constantly spam healing them. I'm trying to think what else I could have missed in this guide. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much to know right now about Holy Priest. I think the playstyle is very simple. You just are gonna have to play around your Lightweaver procs with your 2-set. So basically, how you're gonna be doing it is you're gonna be putting up your Lightweaver and you're gonna prayer mending, which gives you your 2-set proc once you get it. But other than that, really not much that needs to be said about Holy. This build I really like. I'll probably play this for a while until I see something better. And then obviously I have my very tanky build for fighting rogue mage, which no one likes fighting that, but yeah. And hopefully this guide helps. A lot of people have been asking for it, and I've just been putting it off, but I decided enough's enough, and I'm gonna just upload this. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Holy Priest and Dragonflight Season 1. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. Make sure to follow my stream at twitch.tv/WaylorTV. And hopefully I will see you guys either on Twitch or on YouTube. Thank you for watching.